Welcome to the Wellness Quacks. My name is Dr. Dylan Clark. I'm a chiropractor here in Colorado Springs. I own a clinic, Peak Family Chiropractic. Want to give a big thank you to 719 Lending. We have the great Marquise with us today.
Hello.
Today we have a very interesting show. I have my wife here as well, Jessica.
The amazing Hello. Jessica.
The amazing smoke show, Jessica. Yeah. How far along are you?
8 months.
So we're getting ready
Close to 9.
Getting ready to have a baby.
Yep.
July. We're gonna have a July baby. We don't have a July baby yet.
We don't.
We have 8 kids. We're gonna probably go for 14 so we can try and get one each month. This is what we're gonna try and do.
I don't need a bigger van.
Yeah.
We're good.
Okay. We can get a 15-pack. Today's show is gonna be a little bit different. It's gonna be a difficult one. We have Marquise here just to kind of keep us on track or to ask questions, I think, from other people maybe who haven't experienced something like what we experienced. And I'm totally okay sharing. I'm an open book with pretty much everything in my life. I think that that's a better way to live. I think it's a healthier way to live. So with that, I'm not afraid to share. So Marquise, that's kind of what I would like, if that's
Sure.
cool, yeah. And then I'll get into how we've had some healing and how we've had, I think the beginning phases of the healing process from our experience. But it's been a rough week and a half, 2 weeks. So I'll just dive into it. Jess and I were witnesses to a murder right outside of our home. And I mean directly outside of our home. And I've had an incredible amount of support and outreach from friends, from family. I've talked to people who've been to combat, and there's some differences when it's on your front porch as opposed to like going overseas. And overseas is traumatic too. I'm not diminishing that type of mental trauma or stress that a person goes under or goes through. What I've come to learn, and I'll dive into this a little bit more, is I've played athletics pretty much all my life. I still play men's hockey, and I've had several injuries. And physical injuries are you can identify them very easily. Like you sprain your ankle's swollen. You can do some tests, figure out this ligament is hurt or that muscle strained, and you can rehab it. What I have found so far is that mental injuries are real, A, but B, they're a little bit harder to identify sometimes. And they just come at random times, and it's been a very difficult process navigating. What I'd like to get is maybe a counselor on our show who can help identify what those things are and how to identify them in others, because I've had some help, and man, it's made a world of difference. I'm still kind of a basket case, but Marquise can attest, not as bad as I was. Marquise committed me to doing the show today. I called her to cancel it again because I just didn't want to do anything in life. And I called her and I was like, hey, I'm going to cancel again. She's like, how you doing? I was like, I'm okay. And she's like, are you? And then I just was like, okay, here it comes. I'm not okay. And I wasn't okay. I'm better, but it's a path. So let's just get into it. I kind of want to go through what I observed and what you observed. Mm-hmm. And then when the feelings set in, because the emotional distress didn't happen right away. That was what was surprising, and then it kept kind of getting worse, actually, as the week went on for me. I don't know if that did it for you.
Yeah. I definitely would say that I was calm as a cucumber, and then it was like emotions building on top of each other, but then I had to kind of put on a face and be like, I'm okay because I'm with my kids and I'm out of town. Mm-hmm. So.
And I'll tell you why she's out of town. So here's kind of the structure of how we're going to go through today. So if you guys want to skip forward or go to a different part, I'm going to go through what I observed, and then what I come to understand what actually happened, and then the logical processing that I went through, and then when this just kind of deep sorrow, grief, weight on my chest set in, and then what that experience was like, and then when I finally got some relief. I'm going to throw some God stuff in here because I think that's important. Some things that I've come to understand, but also some misconceptions that I think people have. And I might be wrong. I'm just sharing my experience of what I think. I had a lady in church come up to me and wouldn't stop asking me about the traumatic event, and on Sunday I still was not okay, and I was like, I don't really want to talk to you. I was giving her very short answers, and then she's like, what you need is, you just need a blessing and you'll be healed. And I think blessings are a great thing. I think they're helpful. I think they give a lot of direction, and I think it's a divine connection to God. However, I also think that God inspires people to give us modalities and different things that help us. And so I did receive a blessing, and it was helpful. It gave me good direction, but it's a healing process, and there's things and inspired people who come up with things that, like actual tangible things you can do that can help you. So I'll go over that too. So that's gonna be the structure of today. So let's get into it. Monday night, I think it was the 17th. I believe it was the 17th. It was Monday night. I came home from work, and it was still daylight because it's summertime. It's awesome. It's daylight till about 8:30, 8:45-ish. And when I got home, we don't have AC in our house. Do we eat dinner? Like, did you have dinner ready and we just ate?
Probably.
I think we did. I think we ate earlier that night. We have 7 kids, so sometimes we eat late.
Well, normally we're very busy
Yeah.
people, so.
Yeah, we're at the ball game, so we can't get home until late, and we eat when we can. But I think I came home from work and we ate right away. We got the dishes all cleaned up, and it was about 8:20-ish, 8:30-ish, where we went outside to go sit outside because we don't have AC. When that cool mountain breeze starts blowing into the valley, it's really nice, and you go outside and we sit and relax, and it's really nice. So that's what we were doing. Jess is like, hey, I'm ready to go outside, which we've done for the last 6 years. And we do this not every night, but we do it frequently.
Especially in the summertime, and we live right across the street from a park. So our little ones are always like, let's go to the park. It's time to go to the park.
And we have some standing rules in our house where if we go outside and we go out front, the rule is if the kids ask to go to the park, the answer is always yes. Never say no. Don't ever want to tell them no. There's like certain things where, and some of that comes from my dad. He's like, in order to have an effective no to a child, you got to tell them yes enough. And you want to look for reasons to say yes, not to say no. That way when you say no, it's effective, right? And so that's one of my standing rules is we always tell them yes. It's important in a minute. So we went outside and the garage door was open and I just we have like a love seat camp chair. And I grabbed the camp chair instead of going over to the park, like directly across the street from our house, like from our front porch, directly out. There's a park bench there, which is where we go and sit. And I got out the park bench the
Lawn chair.
The lawn chair for whatever reason, and I started taking it out. And Jess is like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "We've come too far." Like I got this thing out of the sleeve now, so I'm not putting it away. There wasn't like, this is important because I think religiously, I've heard this in my church a lot, but I've heard other people like, there was a voice that was like, you should just sit in a park and in the camp chair. It was not that. I just went outside. Jess was like, we're gonna sit outside tonight, and I was like, I just got it, and this is what we're doing. And then when Jess brought it to my attention, I was like, I feel like I'm kind of goofy sometimes. I was like, nah, like it's like the sword has been unsheathed. I can't put it back in.
So, he did say we've come too far.
So we pulled it open, sat in the bench, or like it's like a love seat camp chair. And as we're sitting there, all the kids came outside and they're all like climbing around us. I think it was Evelyn, she's 7.
Evelyn, who's 7, Emery, 2, and then our daughter, Eleanor, who's 14.
And Josh and Jake were kind of coming in and out. And Eliza was outside too.
They were kind of popping in and out.
Yeah. But I think it was Evelyn was like, can we go over to the sand park? And I was like, no, because they were cuddling on me. And I was like, no, just stay with me tonight. And then it was like 30 seconds later, a fight broke out across the street. So I'm going to say how I observed it, and then I'll tell you guys how I now understand what happened. So as I was sitting there, a fight broke out, and you could hear like girl voices, feminine voices yelling, and you could tell that there was a skirmish, but I couldn't see it very clearly, and it was right beside that bench. And then Marquise, if you need to bounce anytime, that's cool. No, like seriously, it's good. Oh, there we go. There's the timer. I don't want this to last all day, but so I saw the skirmish, I heard it, and Jess heard it, and if I recall correctly, you're like, man, really? And so I was like, okay, here we go. And then you could hear him start to be very vulgar and start to swear, and you could tell that the altercation was like not just a shoving match, like it was serious. But there's like a tree over there and stuff, so you couldn't make out exactly what was going on.
Also, our 12-passenger van was right in front of it.
Yeah.
So we couldn't really
So you couldn't see everything, but you could tell that there was, like, you could see part of it, and you could hear it building, and you could hear that it was like a fight. So I was like, and so I was like, here we go. And Jess is like, really? And then I was like, I'll go. And so I stood up to go over, and then I saw a bigger guy, like he looked like he was towering over them, go over there, and I thought initially he was part of the fight. I thought he was like involved because there was a family that was playing volleyball. They play volleyball there like nightly, have for the last couple of weeks. It's a Latino family, and it's actually kind of fun to watch them. They're very animated and they have a great time. So part of it was kind of fun because when we were sitting, it's just a different perspective. So when we're sitting in the front lawn, you could see them from a different angle, and they're pretty animated, they're pretty funny. So I thought maybe it was just like a family feud, like a family fight, like maybe it got out of hand. That's happened with me and my brothers before. So I thought maybe that's what was going on. And so I stood up to go across the street, and I stopped because I saw him get involved, and I was trying to figure out what was going on. And so I was getting ready to cross the street, and then there's like 4 SUVs that pulled up while this fight was building and still in the early stages, and I could hear that guy yelling at the girls that were fighting. And then it was like, I think it was like 4 SUVs, or it could have been more. It was at least 4.
It was probably at least 4.
There's
least. Possibly more, but it happened.
I know that there's at least 4 that pulled up, and they like pulled up, and then all these kids just started pouring out, like teenage kids, older teenage kids, just started pouring out. I mean, they could have been early 20s, but that's kind of the age range. And I mean, just flooding the area, I mean, very rapidly. And then that skirmish, the noise level and the intensity went from like being very low to very high, and then the vulgarity went very high. And you could hear some of those kids egging on the fight and trying to get involved in the fight. And at that point, it was like, okay, now I really don't know exactly what's going on, but like whatever they're doing is really not good. It was like they came there for that, but I didn't make that connection yet. But it was like, okay, what's going on? And then it went from like, so it started from like, if it's already an intense situation, it went from like there to here, and then it went like really high, really fast. And at that point, I think I yelled at Eleanor. I was like, take the kids inside. I was like, Jess, I'm going inside to get my gun. So because it was like, felt very fearful. Half of it was spilling into our street, and I'm on the sidewalk in front of our house, and I'm like, whoa, like this is dangerous.
And it all happened within like 3 minutes. That's how fast.
Yeah, 3 minutes or less. I'd say almost maybe even less. Like it's pretty insane. So Jess observed that mayhem continue to go on. I ran inside. I only had like slides on. So I slipped into my Hey Dudes real fast, and then got my pistol. On the way out of the door, I was trying to put my pistol in my jacket because I didn't want to just like run out there like, ah! I wanted to keep it conservative and only use it if I needed to protect myself or protect my family or someone else who was being seriously hurt and wouldn't listen. Because that was I didn't say that, because I also gave very loud verbal commands for them to stop. I was like, it's enough. Like big loud dad voice, right? Like, that's enough. I said that's enough. And then I started yelling to them to knock it, stop. And so that's when, I think after that is when I was like, this is out of control. No one's responding. Like no one even turned around to look at me, and I was screaming. So I run inside, I come out, and I couldn't get my gun through my sleeve, so as I'm running out of the front door, I finally figured out to take it out of the sleeve and then put it in my pocket, and I had it cocked and loaded. And as I ran out, the mayhem had moved down maybe like 20 yards. I heard some kid they were yelling at the big guy, I could tell that, and they were yelling at him that they were going to kill him, and they're going to hurt him, and he was at this point in a defensive position, but I couldn't tell like who was bad and who was good. Like, was he the original aggressor? I didn't think so at this point because all the kids that showed up, but there was still confusion because it happened so fast.
It was very confusing.
And it started moving down, and so I started crossing the street slowly to try and identify who was good and who was bad. And then as I crossed the street, I heard a woman with just this guttural scream, and she's like, they stabbed him, we need help. And so then I was like now I know that this is like out of control. Like, I already knew that it was, but now this is out of control. And then she's just like screaming and like crying. And so all these kids, they scattered like cockroaches. Like, they were piling into this, like one of them was a red Jeep, and they were piling in, like the back was open, and like they didn't even get into the seats. They were just piling into the car.
Kids were running up the sidewalk and like a lot of them were saying, I had no idea he had a knife. I had no idea he was going to do that.
I didn't hear that, but I was focused on who stabbed. Now I got to help someone, but I have to defend myself at the same time. So I didn't run right over to him because I was still identifying, because like I knew someone was like someone who would do that was there. So I was like still kind of on high alert, and I was just trying to identify who is bad. Then like I'm telling you, the cars left so fast. So then by the time I kind of determined that it was safe, I saw the guy laying there, and so then maybe I was 10 yards away by that point, and there was so much blood. Like,
it was already, yeah. He
was wedged between like a dumpster, like by our house there's a little dumpster. He's wedged between a dumpster and like a fence. And I was maybe 10, 15 yards away, and I saw him laying there, and I just saw a pool of blood. And I mean, like, I've helped people. Like, I helped this lady who was in a car crash. She flew out of her car, split open her head, and there was a lot of blood around her head. But like, you're looking at it like, well, if we stop the bleeding, she'll be okay. Like, it's a lot of blood, but she'll be okay. And I hunt, and I've killed deer and elk and drained out their chest region, and you see all of the blood that's in that animal out. And when I looked at him, like, that's how much blood was just surrounded him. And I was like, this is not good, man. Like, that's not good. So I went over there. As I was kind of going over there, I saw a girl run across the street. People were still scattering, so I didn't go right away to him because, again, I was trying to identify what was going on. She ran over, and then she just went over top of him. She kind of had dreadlocks. I now know her name. Her name's, well, I won't say her name, but I now know her name. And so I saw her over top of him. I went over to him, and she's like, he's been stabbed. I have my hand on the wound. I said, I'm a doctor. She goes, I'm a nurse. I was like, cool, tell me what you got. And she's like, he's stabbed over here, and blood is just pouring out. I was like, do you have a lot of pressure on it? She's like, I have as much pressure as I can, but it's still just coming. And I was like, just hold it. And I was like, are there any other stab wounds? She goes, crap, I didn't check. And then there was someone down on his neck, and I go, do we have a pulse? And she goes, she says we do, but it's really faint. And I, like, looking at the amount of blood, I was like, yeah, it's not going to, like. And then, so I kind of looked around his body. Like, I didn't want to move him too much because I wasn't worried about his spinal cord injury, but
he had fallen backwards.
He had fallen backwards, and so I was just kind of worried. And so I looked and I examined him. I didn't see anything. And then I was like, has anybody called 911? And I heard a guy on 911, and he was giving a description of what was going on, but he wasn't doing it very clearly. And I just thought, I was like, if someone doesn't tell them how bad this is, they won't know what they're running into, and they need to be ready to act by the time they get here, or this guy's dead if he's not going to be dead already. So the nurse was like, call 911. I was like, I got it. So we already had 2 people over him. There was nothing else I could do. So at that point, I called 911, get on the horn with them. And I was like, they're like, what's your address? Like, my name's Dylan Clark. My address is this. This is my phone number if we hang up. I've got, and she's like, okay, we already have this going on the phone. And I was like, if you don't get an ambulance right now, this guy's dead. Like, he doesn't have any, he's done. And then when I said that, it was like, I think it was his sister that was right there, and then she just lost it. And then later I found out I think it was the mom that was over top. It was an older lady. I think it was the mom that was over top of him, the mom of the victim. He's like 23 years old. That's in the newspaper. 28. No, he's 23, I think. It's what the newspaper said. But they're so accurate. Heck, the news is highly annoying. So then she starts wailing. And then the 911 operator's like, look, if that's as bad as it is, they're coming. If that situation's already taken care of, at this point we need witnesses because they're going to leave fast. So I need you to leave that, and I need you to tell me what you saw. And I was trying to tell her, but I hadn't processed what I had seen yet. And it just happened so fast and so violently that I was still trying to figure it out myself. And at this point, I'm just trying to like save this guy's life and do whatever I can to get the resources to him. And so I just started asking people, do you know who did it? Do you know anybody who's here? Do you know any of the kids? Then there was a girl that was there. I went up to her, and she was young, really pretty. She's like, yeah, I was part of the original fight. I was there for it. And I was like, cool, I need names. And she's like, I can't give you names. They'll kill me. And I was like, yeah, he's dead. This guy is dead, so I don't really care. Like, we need names. We need someone. And the operator kept saying, like, what are you saying? Who are you talking to? And it wasn't until like 3 days after. And this is where some of the guilt comes into play, because I had my stupid phone on voice isolation. And so everything that she said, I don't know if they got it or not, but she had said some things that would definitely be helpful. And then later I was like, how come, like, I was at home thinking about it? Like, you can't stop thinking about it. I was like, how come she couldn't understand me? And then I was talking to you, and I had the phone down, and you're like, I can't hear you. And I was like, you should be able to hear me, I'm close. And then I was like, shoot, like, that's why they couldn't hear me. Anyway, I talked to her, and then after that, the chaos was down, but my mind was chaotic. And then after that, he was done. I looked back, they were performing CPR. I came back to see if they needed assistance, and they had 3 people over top of them performing CPR. And I remember distinctly thinking, that's a bad idea, because like an artery was hit or his heart was hit. It was right underneath the armpit.
On the left side?
On the left side. So I was like, that's a bad idea, because you're going to pump every ounce of blood out of them. So you shouldn't do that, but what else are you going to do? And these people are just trying to do something. I mean, they had the family around them wailing. And so I came back, I saw them doing that. I was like, he's gone. I'll keep doing what the 911 operator came. And then finally a police officer shows up. And he's like, were you here? I was like, I was here from the beginning, man. He's like, I need your statement. I was like, you got to talk to her. Like, go talk to that girl right now before she leaves. And he's like, about what? So I gave him like the briefest, like, this is what happened, man. This was going down. She was here like with the people who did it. I don't know who did it. She knows some of the guys that were here. You need names. Go talk to her. He's like, got it. I'll come back to you. So I gave him a statement, and then he went, and then another cop came up to me. Ambulance pulls up. And the ambulance, man, that was freaking brutal. They just grabbed him by his legs because he was still, they pulled him out a little bit, but he was still kind of wedged. And then they just like grabbed his legs and they just yanked him back, and his head snapped back against the concrete. And like, he was already dead. And I was like, man, like a little dignity, like a little bit. So then they intubated him and started doing CPR. And you could tell by the faces on the ambulance, like on the paramedics, that they were just like, they had just accepted, like,
he's already,
you're not going to revive this guy. Like, it ain't happening. At that point, once the cops were there, that heightened awareness of who's bad, who's good dropped because I was like, they'll help. And then I was just worried about my family. So I started looking around, and in all the commotion and chaos, this is where, to me, like I struggled because it was like a beautiful thing, but it was also like just heart-wrenching. I look over and maybe 15 yards away, maybe.
Pretty close to the body.
Jess is sitting there next to this little girl, and the girl's like 5 years old. And when I saw the little girl, I actually distinctly remember her standing there crying, looking at this man. When I came over, like that hit me, and I was like, oh shoot. So I went over to Jess and I was like, hey, are you okay? And she was just holding this little girl, and this little girl was just talking. Like it was like a smooth, calm summer's day, and Jess is in the middle of this chaos, and there's just it's like the eye of a hurricane, just a little piece of sunshine and calmness. And Jess looks at me and she's like, I don't remember the little girl's name, probably shouldn't say it on air, but she's like, yeah, we're talking, and we're okay. And then the little girl looks at me and she's like, they hurt my uncle. And I was like, yep, they did. So I was like, you good? I'm going to keep helping. And Jess is like, yep, I'm good. So I left her, and then I saw Eliza like immediately after, my oldest daughter, and she was holding a woman who was just heaving. Found out later it was the fiance of the deceased. And Eliza's just holding her, and she's like, Dad. And I was like, you're doing great. Are you okay? And she's like, I'll keep helping. And I was like, okay. So Eliza's like holding her, and then I went over to, there's a woman in a blue jumpsuit. I recognize her, I know who she is now. And I was like, hey, who are you? Are you okay? And she's like, yes, I'm fine. I don't know why they stabbed him. And then she gave me the rundown of what happened, and that's when I started putting pieces together. So what had happened was, they were playing volleyball. They were starting to put things away. And now that she told me, I'm like, oh, dude, that makes like now I understand what I was seeing, but I didn't get it at first. So they were playing volleyball. They were putting things away because it was dusky. And then this fight broke out pretty close to their cars. As it escalated, and I could tell that there was blows being punched, but I couldn't see it from my van. Like, who was, like, I couldn't make out a person. I could make out,
Like you said, we thought it was more of a family thing
feud
between them.
Yeah.
But these two girls that were fighting were completely separate from that family. And so one of the girls had the other girl on the ground and was punching her in their face, and she was like ripped her shirt off
or up, and she was exposed. And the guy was like, his name's Tadeo, and that's in the news. So Tadeo saw it, and he goes, that's enough. And the sister that I was talking to goes, don't go. Maybe she had a bad feeling, I don't know, but she's like, just leave it alone. And he goes, no, not in front of the kids. And then they saw that the girl was exposed, and he goes, I'm going. And I think it's hard, because like I tell people this all the time. Like when she said that, I was like, that should have been me. So people are like, it's survivor's guilt. And I hate that, because I'm like, it's not survivor's guilt. I'm happy I'm alive. Like, I'm glad that I'm alive. I say it should have been me, because if I would have seen that, and if we were sitting at the bench,
that would have been you.
That would have been me.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because I would have been right next to it, and as soon as I saw that, I would have been like, I like, same thought process. That's enough. Not in front of my kids, not at the park, not in front of other people. It's like, it's too far now. Like, now it stops. So that's what he did. And he went over there and started separating it, and one of the girls was still trying to go at it, and so the sister went over to go help, so that it wasn't just a big dude doing it, and so that she could be like a
she was worried they were like afraid of him, because he's like 6'2" and
he's a big dude.
Yeah.
And so she was worried that they were going to be afraid, so she went to go help separate too, and as they were separating, that's when all the cars showed up. And then they started piling on him, because they wanted the fight. These kids wanted the fight to keep going. It was like tweeted out or put on Instagram or something.
Mm-hmm.
And So they started piling on him, and so he started defending himself. And that's what some of that I heard, because that guy, like I heard a guy say something to the effect like, I'm going to kill you, or it was pretty aggressive. I think that's when I actually went to go get my gun, is when I heard that. And I heard Tadeo say, come at me then. And so
at that point, they had moved down the sidewalk.
they're starting to move. And he's still just throwing kids off, and people are coming at him. And so then you heard that, and he kept going in. And the sister is trying to pull kids off of him because he's big, and these are like, high schoolers, so they're not like,
You could tell they were younger because he was like shoulder and head above everyone.
Yeah. And so these kids are going at him, and they wouldn't stop. She's helping throw kids off of him, which I did recognize. Like, when she said, I was like, oh, like, that was some of the mayhem that I saw. And I understand, now I understand who the good guy was and who the bad guys were, but I mean, by then, obviously it doesn't matter. And then she's like, he never smoked, he never drank, he was in the military, and he just liked doing what was right. He hated people being mean to other people. He was just trying to defend her. And so then you start putting puzzle pieces together. At that point, I heard two kids wailing, and they were all alone. And I was like, whose kids are these? So then I went over to this car, and they were in direct line of the body. Mm-hmm. And so then I think the kid was maybe his son. I don't know. He kept just crying and why did they kill him? Why did they kill him? And he wanted to go to him. I thought it was his son, but I'm not positive on that. And so he was crawling out of the car, so I just grabbed him, a young kid. So I just grabbed him and just held him. He's like, please let me down. And I go, I'm just gonna hold you, bud. I'm just gonna hold you. You don't want to go over there. And he's like, is he dead? And I was like, he is dead. Again, I don't really believe in sugarcoating it. You got to deal with it as it comes. So then the other girl in the car was like, did they stab my mom? Did they stab my mom? And she's screaming while I'm trying to take care of this kid. And so then I was like, who's your mom? And so she told me her name. And so then I'm like, I'll find out. You stay right here. I'll be right back. So I'm holding this kid, and I'm yelling for this woman. And it was the woman who debriefed me and told me everything. And so I was like, are you hurt? Your daughter wants to know. And I remember thinking it's weird that no one's going to their kids. And Jess and I talked about this. I was like, look, if I'm ever stabbed in a park, you grab our kids and you make sure they're okay, and you console them. I'm already dead. You're not going to change that if this ever happens, because it could have been me. I was like, you leave me, and you make sure our kids are okay. Because just seeing these kids all by themselves, they had nobody, that ripped me to shreds. So anyway, I found out, come back to the girl, and I was like, your mom's okay. She's okay. She's over there. She's just having a hard time. I'll stay with you. So then there was the woman was driving the car, and she was inconsolable, who is another sister to the deceased. There's 3 or 4 sisters, and they had their kids. It's stuff that we do with our family when we're close. And I was like, hey, you need to move your car. She's like, I can't, no. And I was like, you have to move it. We have to move these kids out of the scene, back it up behind the ambulance. I just think about if I was a little kid and I just have a direct eyesight to my uncle or my dad, whoever these kids were. One was clearly the uncle. I think the other one was the son. I don't want my kid looking at my dead body for literally, it would have been hours if they didn't move it. So I got her to move it, and just held the kids till another uncle came in. And then at that time, the dad showed up. And this is one of the hardest things. The dad shows up, and they already have caution tape up now because now it's a murder scene. And he just starts going, mijo, mijo, mijo. And he tried crossing the street, and a cop grabs him, and he's like, you can't go. And he's like, no, it's mijo. They had 3 cops, and they restrained him, and they pinned him to the ground because he's just trying to get to his son. And they wouldn't let him go to his boy. So then he circled back, tried going across again, They tackled him again. I just went up. And I was like, I saw it. I saw it. He said, you saw my son? And I was like, yeah. He tried to help. Ayuda otro personas. And they stabbed him. And he's like, no. Sí, lo siento. And I just like held him for a minute. And like half hour later, he tried doing it again. He just sat on the curb, just looking at his son. And he's just like in disbelief. He's just like, no. He tried going to his boy again, like half hour later, and they like tackled him again. I mean, they did it as gently as possible, but from my perspective, I was like,
I think we were all kind of just saying, like, let him have a minute with his son. Like,
just give him a second. And one of the things that kind of bothered me is like Jess was still sitting there with that little girl. Like, I don't even, like, when did you leave? Like, you're there forever.
For a long time.
So she's close with this little girl. She's inside the caution tape. And they still didn't ask her and this little girl to move. They're still like hustling and bustling around. And I'm like, just let the dad go to him. Like, you're going to let them be that close. Like, let him just go to his boy. And that dad sat outside all night. They didn't move the body till like the next morning. I want to say it was like 8 or 9 in the morning. It was like surreal because like the next day, people are at the park playing. People were at Remington Elementary School just playing. And there's like a body outside just laying there. And I'm like, does no one know? And to me, it's like the world just keeps moving. The world will move forward. Doesn't matter what tragedy happens, the world is still going to move forward. So that was really hard. So I tried helping as much as I could there. And then I went up and talked to my neighbors. It was a lot later now. Started talking to my neighbors. And
it was close to midnight.
Yeah, it was close to midnight. And you could still hear like wailing and crying like the entire time. And then they were bringing the what I know now is the fiance up. They're trying to get her to go down to the station to get as much information out of her while it was fresh. And she was like inconsolable. She was like hyperventilating.
A panic attack and everything like.
She had blood all over her, which she got on our daughter, Eliza. Mm-hmm. And she's just like, I can't wash the blood off. I can't wash it off because then he'll leave me. And I don't
He won't know where to find me if you take me away.
If she leaves, yeah. They're trying to get her. She's like, he won't know where to find me. I have to stay. And they're trying to guide her. She just kept saying that over and over and over again, like it was ugly. It was an ugly scene. And the mom and I think the sister of the fiance of the woman was there.
It was a friend.
Was it a friend? Mm-hmm. I don't know.
A friend and the mom, yeah.
And they kept trying to like, I think they were trying their best, but they were in shock too. And they just they're like, you got to calm down. Mm-hmm. And when you're in that state, like when you tell a person, it's like this last week when I'm having a moment, because I just would have these moments where I just break down. And I was having a moment. It was like, and if a person were to be like, you need to calm down, I'd be like, man, I'm really trying. Like, I can't do it. And then I just lose it, right? And
I've been calm.
Right. And so they said that to her, and they kept bringing her closer to our house. And I was like, that's not working. So we got the camp chair out again. You were like right by me at that point. Got the camp chair out and sat her down. And I was like, hey, let's just sit down. And then I was like, can I hold your hand? And she's like, yeah, okay, yeah. And I was like, I just want you to talk to me. I tried to help your husband. I was one of the guys who tried to save his life. Can you just tell me what kind of man he was? I just want to hear from you. Just tell me about him. And she's like, oh, he was great. He was great. He was great. He was so good. He was so great. And I was like, no. I want to know about him. Where'd you guys meet? So she tells me this beautiful story. She was like a 18 years old manager at Wendy's. He was an electrician and he's just working on it. He's a bigger guy then. She goes, I just felt so much love from him immediately that I was like, I want to date him.
She goes, I had to take a chance.
She's like, I've never ever asked a man for his number. And I went out there and I was like, can I have your number? And he was like, yeah. And she had these big, beautiful brown eyes. And at that point, I was still me. Like, I still don't feel like I'm totally back to Dylan yet. But at that point, I felt like I was still me. Like, there's chaos, but I wasn't like, the emotional hurt and damage and that trauma hadn't settled in yet. So I feel like I have a good way of communicating with people. So I just looked at her when she said that, and I was like, you probably couldn't say no with those big, beautiful brown eyes. I mean, like, my wife's right here, and she's gorgeous. She's the love of my life. But if you asked me something with those eyes right now, I'd probably give you anything you wanted. And she just started laughing. And she's like, that's what he said, too. And I was like, it's true. So that kind of calmed her down. And then I was like, tell me more. And then people would try and interrupt, and I was just kind of like, I wish people would just shut up. Like we're talking. And so she told me a lot about them and their life, and when they had a kid that she was really concerned because she was young and had this kid. And today it was just always like a calmness to her that was like God will help us. We'll be okay. I'm going to work hard, and I love you, and I love our child, and we'll be okay. And no matter,
got engaged.
Yeah, they got engaged, and they got a house together, and it's like, it was really a beautiful story of like a young girl who took a chance, and this guy who just loved her and was like, if I work hard and I'm a good man, like, we'll be provided for, be okay. And that's who he was. And what he hated was injustices. Like, he just hated it, and he died defending an injustice. So then a cop was there, and I was like, oh, did you need to ask something? He goes, no, I love what you're doing, man. Keep going. And then once she settled down enough, she looked at me, and she's like, I have to go in, don't I? And I was like, if you don't, they might not find the people who did this. She's like, so I have to be strong enough to do it? And I was like, you do. And when it starts getting hard, you just think about how much you love them. You think about your life with them. That's what you think about, and that'll bring you down. And then you tell them what you saw, so that way we can get the help we need. So then she's like, I can do it. And I was like, you can. It's going to be hard, but you can do it. So then they left. So we didn't get to bed till like 1:30. So I went right to sleep. Like, went upstairs, washed my hands.
We were exhausted.
I cleaned my arms off. I didn't have a lot of blood on me. I had a little bit, but not a lot. Not as much as Eliza. Like, Eliza had to take a shower, and that girl, I found out later, puked on Eliza. And Eliza just held that. That was the girl that I talked with that my daughter was helping until other family members came. And then, so I just kind of, at that point, my mind was like, that was crazy. I'm glad we're all okay. I'm glad my family's okay. Like, I'm very grateful right now. That was crazy. And then I went to sleep, and I was out. I was tired. I was exhausted. I mean, like, adrenaline high. Finally got to rest. And then Jess woke me up, maybe a half hour later, because you couldn't sleep. And you're like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, actually, I'm fine. Like, I'm sleeping pretty hard. And then,
like a flip switch.
Then it hit. And I don't even like talking about it, because, that's why I didn't want to do the podcast. Because, I was laying there, and then it was like this. I said, yeah, I'm okay. And it's like, as soon as I said that, it was like my brain had time to process, go through all the events. And then it was like this weight. Like, it literally felt like a 45-pound plate was on my chest, and grief and sorrow and despair and just sadness just was like all over me. And I was like, I actually don't think I'm okay. And Jess is like, you started crying. You're like, I'm not okay, Dylan. I was like, I don't think I am either, actually. I don't know what's going on. And so we laid in bed, and I didn't sleep hardly at all. And it was just miserable. So I got up at 5 a.m. because it starts getting light. Because I was like, I'm not sleeping anyway. And I just kept kind of heavy breathing and sighing. And I was like, I'm just going to go outside. And I went outside, and he's still laying there. And then the dad is still sitting on the curb. Yep. Same spot, just looking at his son. And I'm like, oh man, this is heavier than I realized. And it's kind of weird, because I got through that day. Because you're like, you should take the day off. And I was like, I just want to try and keep going. if I just sit at home, I'm just going to sit here and not be okay. I just want to keep going. So I went to work, and the more that day set in, the worse I got. And it just got heavier and sadder and more grief. It was like depths of sorrow I've never experienced in my life. And I've been sad. Like I've had some emotional trauma in my life. This was like, I've never experienced anything like this. And then there was like, so I'm gonna just fast forward. I tried getting through every day. On Tuesday, the kids were planning on going to Utah, but we had some kids who were sick. They were gonna go out for a cousin's camp. We had some kids that were sick, and you're like, I don't think we're going. And then on Tuesday, I was like, you guys need to go. Because every time we step outside, because it's right outside our house, every time we step outside, the kids are freaking out. Every time someone comes in front of our house and parks, the kids are freaking out.
Teenagers at the park freak us out.
Anybody who made a loud noise, the kids would go to the window and be like, is there a fight? Is there a fight? Is someone getting hurt? And so then I was like, okay, you guys got to leave tomorrow. Like, I can't have you stay here. And you're like, you should take the rest of the week off and come. And I was like, at that point, I was like, I didn't communicate this, but I was like, I'm not okay, and I don't want to be around anyone. I just want to be alone. And I just want to be in my depths of sorrow by myself, and I don't want to burden anyone. I don't want to be around anyone. So I came.
He used the excuse of his office, though.
So that week, and that's what I want to talk about a little bit, because I think people go through this. Maybe they didn't have as traumatic of an event as we did, but I think that people go through emotional traumas and they don't identify this. Because this is what it felt like all week. Logically, I still felt the way that I felt when I went to bed that night. Like, this is crazy. I'm glad it wasn't me. Like, this sounds really bad, but I looked at him. I was over his body when he was dead. And I remember thinking, I know this sounds bad, but it's hard to describe or like understand unless you're the person. Because I've heard guys in the military say the same thing. And I looked over him and I was like, I'm glad it was you and not me. And I'm sorry that you're dead. And now that I know him, I love him. But I'm glad it was you. Because I still have my 7 kids and I can't leave them yet. I'm not ready. I'm not prepared for that. They're not prepared for that. And you're also sad because like his son doesn't have a dad now. His fiance doesn't have a husband now. And so like I kept trying. So people are like, how you doing? And there was such a disconnect between the logical aspect of what happened and what I was feeling. And it was like that depth of hell was controlling me. And it would like just build into these moments. And I knew it because like I'd be reading a paper and I couldn't understand what I was reading. And I'd read it like 5 times. My office manager's like, hey, are you okay? And I was like, and as soon as she would say, are you doing okay? Because she would ask me a question, I'd have to read the answer. Like I'd have to read it to give her an answer. So I'd be like, information gathering and sharing, information gathering and sharing, what's information? Information is when you get, okay, so information. And then, so I wouldn't say that out loud, but that's what's going on in my head as I'm reading. And then my office manager would be like, Dr. Clark, are you doing okay? And then I was like, and then I just lost it. I would just lose it. And I just started sobbing. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And she's like, you don't need to be sorry. And I'm like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't realize it was coming on. And then you're just breathing heavy. And then you're in this deep, dark slumber. And then the only thing that you have clarity in your mind is the event. So like I couldn't think through anything. I couldn't think about, like if you asked me to do something that I've done a million times in my life, like I couldn't, like, hey, make this pen come out so it writes. Like I wouldn't be able to do it. I had to like, the only thing I could focus on was like the events. And then I would just start talking about the events because I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to make sense of the events. And so you go through different aspects of the events. And this is where people, because one of the ones I went to was, it should have been me. It should have been me. Like, that should have been me. But God moved me out of the way. Like, there's no doubt that God was like, it's not your time, bud. I'm sorry, but it's not your time. Because we did everything out of the ordinary. 6 years. I've never sat on a camp chair in my front lawn. That's like,
We had no reason to.
yeah, the park bench was empty. You know, so I knew it wasn't me, but I'm like, that's just part of the event that I'm trying to go through. And then people would be like, what you're experiencing is survivor's guilt. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not. There's a disconnect between this feeling and what's going on up here. I'm trying to figure it out, and I can't figure it out. Nothing is making sense to me. And then, this is something I identified that I wouldn't have admitted last week, but it's true, was I had this depth of sorrow that it was almost like, I'm gonna get a little metaphysical and religious here, because I don't know how else to explain it, and so this is what makes sense to me. But it was almost like a demon was inside of me that was telling me what I had to feel, and that it wasn't okay to be me anymore. Like, if I were to describe it, it was like, you have to be sad to honor Tadeo. And if you're not sad enough, you're not honoring him and the event and what happened outside of your house. And if you're not sorrowful enough, you're going to miss it the next time and not be able to protect your kids because you're not on guard and you're not sad enough. And it was like a controlling feeling. It wasn't like, I mean, obviously it sounds like a thought, but it was like a feeling. It wasn't, and it overrode everything logical. Because I was like, that's crazy. That's not me. I want to be happy. I love making people laugh. I love making people feel welcome. I love bringing people together. Like, that's what I enjoy. But that was overriding. Like, all of my systems is overriding all of my systems. And then I was even suggested, I'll talk about EMDR. I was suggested that, and I was like, I can't do that, because if I do that, it might make me better, and if it makes me better, then those things are gonna happen. And it was like, so I avoided calling Jess. I think we talked daily though, but I didn't like talking to you because
I don't want to talk to you. No, it was hard because like we both would start tearing up.
I felt like we shared in that sorrow. Did you feel similar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely similar.
I think for me, it was different on the level because I had all the kids with me. And I just wanted them to think I was okay. And my family and everyone's curious, like you were saying. I had people texting me. I had my family asking me about it. And I was like, you don't understand. And I can't tell you everything. You're not going to understand. And people are like wanting to help and wanting to understand the situation, but it's like if you weren't there or if you haven't experienced something like that, you have no idea. No idea what's going on. And I expressed to my husband, I was like, it was good to kind of get away because I wasn't at the park and I wasn't outside the house and I wasn't like...
Yeah, because every time I came home, I mean, like, literally, you walk out the door and the first thing you do is you look down the street where he died.
Yeah.
You're like, and every time you walk out the door, every time you hear a loud noise across the park, I mean, every time, you're just like, is everything okay? Like, Saturday, like, so he died Monday. Saturday, I was out working on the desk for the office. Two ladies are fighting. Like, they're going at each other. Austin's over, and he's like, are they fighting? I was like, yeah, it happens more often than you think. And so his kids are like, I think it was Rose. He's like, what are we going to do? And I go, nothing. It's not our problem. Nothing. I am doing nothing. We are leaving. Anyway.
It's
so people didn't understand.
Yeah. It's like people don't really understand. Yeah. And so it was nice to have that separation of not seeing it and not being around it. Because then it's like you can almost pretend it didn't happen.
But you feel it.
But you feel it. And
like,
then when I got home, it's just like we embraced and we just sobbed.
Because I think we have to heal together. Because we both did, like he was saying that,
what's it called?
EMDR.
EMDR. We both have done that separately. I'm like,
we were both in that situation together. So I think that has to happen together. Like, we have to heal together. And we were separated for over a week. So it's like being able to process those emotions and feelings and being able to tell each other, like, it's going to be okay. It's going to take time, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, I'll say this real quick, like, there really was nothing we could do. I talked to a guy, he's a Green Beret, and he asked me where he was stabbed, and I told him, and he's like, dude, just so you know, there's nothing you could have done. They do, in the military, they do trainings on specifically trying to stop that type of injury, and they do it on animals, and they're like, we lose the animals most of the time, and we're trying everything we can. We have all the tools out ready to go, and we can't save them.
No.
And so he's like, just so you know. And again, intellectually, I knew that, because when I walked up, I was like, it's coming out too fast, right? But it was confirmatory to, like, oh, okay, good. Like, yeah, there was. But it didn't matter. Like, none of the logical helped at all. And here's the other thing that I'll say is, so all week last week, like, I didn't feel like myself. I would chuckle, but there was, like, zero joy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I couldn't feel happiness. So people would tell me a joke, and I would chuckle, and I'd laugh, but you know when something really tickles your funny bone, you're like, it makes you happy, like, inside. Like, I had none of that. Zero. And the only thing that helped me from just crying all the time was actually anger. I had a lady who kept asking me and kept prying and wanted to know the details, and even tried relating to me a traumatic event that she had that was totally different. And I'm sure that event was traumatic for her. I'm not taking that away. But it was significantly different. And she's like, this is where, like, I was like, do I explain it to her? And I was like, no, because I'm just going to lose it. And so then I was like, I call it insta-pissed. I was like instantly pissed off, and I was like, stop asking me questions. I don't want to talk to you. Can't you tell by how I'm answering you? She's like, so were you there? Yep. Did you see him? Yep. You saw everything? I was there from beginning to end. So what happened? Well, there was a fight, and someone stabbed him, and he died. Well, is your family okay? Not really. And she kept asking me, I was like, how do you not understand? I don't want to talk to you right now. And I don't want to be like, I'll quack this out. I don't want to be an asshole to you and just be like, I don't want to talk to you, okay? Because now you're just the like, you're the jerk, right? Yeah. I'm like, I don't want to be that guy, so can you please stop asking me? Yeah. And so it was like short answers. And I was like, okay. And then there was another friend of mine who saw like this going on, and they're like, yo, Brother Clark, you want to step outside? And I was like, I sure do. That would be great. Let's go. Jolly-o. I got up like in the middle of the conversation. There was a friend of mine from church, and he had a really nice suit jacket on. And he's like, dude, I love your suit jacket. And so the other girl hadn't interrupted yet to help me. And he said that, and I stood up, and I was like, I love your jacket too. That's a freaking great jacket. Is it a size 42 regular? Because I will take it from your closet. And then that's when the other friend like recognized those guys. She's like, do you want to go outside? I do want to go outside. Yes, I would love to do that.
Remove me.
Yeah. So it's like the only way I could get out of that was actually with anger. Is the only way I could like control myself, which was like also annoying because that's not who I am. I'm not an angry person. I don't like being angry, but that was the only way. I went to I did a temple ceremony, and that was people like, you should go to the temple. You should go to the temple. Like, you'll find peace and solace, like peace and solace in Christ in the temple. And I was like, I don't want to go to the temple. I just kind of want to be alone. Like, I'm still trying to process. And when I say I want to be alone to be processed, yes, I was very sorrowful, and there was like a level of depression. But I've been depressed. It wasn't depression. You are depressed, but it's not that. It's just like dark and gloomy and sorrowful.
You don't know how to be yourself anymore.
Yeah. And so people are like, you should go to the temple. I'm like, I don't want to go to the temple. Like, it's a good idea for you to probably do something like that. And I was like, you're probably right, so I'll listen to you. Well, like in our church, when you go do a temple session in our church, it's like an hour and a half, and you're in a confined space. And the lights are kind of low, and I'm just in there, and I'm like, I can't get out. I can't leave. I gotta leave. And so I started breathing real heavy, and the guy next to me has severe PTSD from war. He was in some very intense combat situations, And he's like, he tapped me on the back and he's like, are you okay? And I was like, no. He goes, just breathe, man. Just keep breathing. You'll get through it. Just keep breathing. I was like, I know I'll get through it. I know I can hold it long enough together to get out of here, but I'm uncomfortable. So I had nowhere to go. And it happened like 20 minutes into it. So the whole rest of the hour, I'm just like, oh gosh, man, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. So then I just went into the locker room because you have to change into ceremonial clothes. I was changing back in my regular clothes. And I'm just like in the locker and I'm like rocking back and forth. Not like I don't want to say like a psycho because people who have it intense probably do that, but you're just like, what happened? What's going on? And you're confused. Like confusion, it gets bigger and bigger and builds until the only thing I can focus on is the event. So then I'm in the middle of this little cubicle locker all by myself. And I just felt, so I'm like, the only thing I can think about is this. It's the only thing that's coming to my mind. I'm going to go there. I'm not going to fight it. Let's just go there. So then I go there and I'm in this locker and I just lose it. And I think about the dad. And then I thought about him. I thought about the son. I thought about the wife. And I thought, what if that was me? And when you internalize that, like you can make any situation like that and you can internalize anything and make it sad. So that's why like it doesn't feel like survivor's guilt because like if I watch a movie, ever since I've been a dad, if I watch a movie and a kid is portrayed as being hurt or abducted, like you can ask my wife, like I'll cry, I'll be angry, I'm like, find him, you know?
Yeah.
And so then I'm sitting there and then I come out and as soon as I got fresh air, it was like I can release my emotions and cry, but I'm in front of everyone, and so I didn't want to do that. So my sister-in-law comes up to me. Austin, my brother, looks at me and he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "I'm here, man." And he's like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Yep." It's like we had an understanding. I'm not doing okay. Please don't talk to me. I got to figure out how to get out of this situation. I was okay with feeling it and writing it and crying. The entire time I had no problem with that. I just didn't want to do it around people. I didn't want to burden other people. And then my sister-in-law was like, "You look like you need a hug." And so she just came over to hug me. And then I was like, "No, don't do that." So then I just lost it. And then there was another friend of our church, and he's a good dude. He comes over and he's like, "Brother Clark." And I was like, "Nope." And so I just started walking. He's like, "Brother Clark." And I was like, "Nope." And I just kept walking. And he's like, "Brother Dylan Clark." And I was like, "I know what my name is." So I'm like sobbing and I'm angry because I was like, "I know what my name is, man. I'm not turning around on purpose." So then he just like turned around and kind of grabbed me and I just like fell into his arms and I just sobbed. And he's like, whoa, buddy. And I was like, "I'm sorry." And I guess he said that I said, like, "I'm sorry I couldn't save him. I don't remember saying anything. I just remember sobbing." But he's like, he thought that you and I were getting divorced. And
Your wife's been gone for a week.
yeah. And people were asking me, and I was kind of vague, like, why did they go? I was like, "Oh, they're just out in Utah visiting family. They just need to get away." And they're like, "They need to get away?" And I'm like, "Yeah, they need to get away."
They're running from me.
Yeah. So he's like, "Dude, are they getting divorced?" He asked Austin later. He's like, "Dude, are they getting divorced?" And he's like, "No." So Austin explains to him, and he's like, "Whoa, that's what's going on with them?" So then again, like I showed up late to church on purpose because I didn't want to talk to anyone. And then this guy, who's a good friend of mine, he's a good guy. He's like, "Why are you out in the foyer, Brother Clark?" And I was like, "I just want to listen out here today." And he's like, "You should go inside." And I was like, "It's okay." He's like, "Where's your family?" "They're in Utah, so I'm just going to sit outside. That way I can just be by myself out here." He's like, puts his arm around me, and he's like, "Well, then I'm going to sit with you. We're going inside." And it was weird, man. As soon as that door shut, I'm just like, who's the bad guy in here? Like, who's going to try and hurt me? And, like, who do I need to help, you know? And then I'm like, "What are you talking about? You're in church. Calm down." And then he kept getting closer to me, and I'm like, "I don't want anyone to touch me." So then I was like instantly pissed. I was like, "I don't even know what the sermon is. Like, this is stupid." Like, why did I even come? And then after church. So that's how the week has gone for me.
No. For me, like I said, we're at my family's house. There's lots of cousins around for a cousins camp, and it was more just pretend you're okay.
get through it.
The pretending's exhausting, though.
Yeah.
Because I did the same thing with patients.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because I told my 2 girls, I was like, don't do it alone. If you're having a hard time, you need to, like, go to each other or come to me. Like, don't do it alone.
And I just want to be alone.
Yeah. It's like, I even told myself, I'm like, you're not even doing what you're telling them to do. But it was definitely hard because you just tried to keep doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. But like you're saying, it's like you don't know how to be yourself anymore. It's like it didn't happen to us. And I thank Heavenly Father every day for that. Because he looked out for us. And I'm not saying he didn't look out for Tadeo, but
I think God will look out for their family. I think that it's in God. It's part of God's plan.
Yeah.
And as bad as that sounds, he's going to make a way, and he'll make a way for healing. I believe that God makes a way for healing. But
just
right
the
now
thought.
it's sad.
Yeah.
Right now it's horrible.
And I think that's part of like the guilt of, well, now it's on their family. And so I just kept telling the kids, I'm like, we pray for his family and we ask them to find peace and comfort and know that everything's just, it's going to be okay. They have the choice to find that, you know? And I think it was a couple days before I was coming home and I just felt it build up. And I started crying and I walked into Eliza and I just held out my arms and she's like, Mom! And she held me and she's like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm okay. I need to let it out.
It just builds, right?
So it's like, I want to express because I know I feel like I'm just saying the same thing over and over. But the trauma from it, even though it wasn't my person, my family, but seeing all of it and how things just kind of attack you and make you feel smaller or like that's your fault or what else could you have done or any of those things. Like, did I actually really help that 5-year-old girl? Like, yeah, I did actually. Like, get out of my head. I was where I was supposed to be. And just knowing that like that would have been you. We would have been those people over there. We would have been in the situation. And being able to find comfort and peace and having the religion that we have is like we understand certain things different than most people. And I know that I have peace in that, but at the same time, it's just feeling those emotions that are like
You didn't have
stuck.
peace, though.
No.
Yeah, like I didn't have peace. I was like one thing that I had over last week was I had nightmares, but I don't know. Like nightmares to me, like I disassociate with them because it's like it's a dream. That's not me. I'm not in control, right? The most vivid one I had was when I went to go approach him to see if he had that he had truly passed away, but when they started doing CPR. In my dream, I went, and as I got over the body, it was me. And then, so like, sleep was very interrupted during the past week. But I also think your mind tries to work through things. But I also think it messes with you sometimes too. But that's where it felt like just stuck. Like, and that's where I think you're explaining it. Like, there was just a complete disassociation with your feelings and your head.
Yeah.
And you just couldn't. Like, I couldn't be me because, like, the emotions were so overwhelming. Like, it was like I could not find myself. In fact, one of the days, my house manager looked at me and she's like, are you okay? And I just immediately broke down and I was like, I just want to be me.
Yeah.
Like, I just want to be me again. And I can't be me for anything. I've tried everything. And the only time I felt peace and joy is when I held a kid. My brother's kids came up to me and Rosie, who hated me as a child. Now she's like, Uncle Dylan! And she ran up and gave me a big hug, and it was the only time I felt peace and joy is when a kid hugged me. It was the only time. That's why I feel like, I don't know how to explain it, so it felt like a demon was in you, because it's like, this isn't me, and I'm completely not in control of anything. It's not necessarily about like, I need to be in control, but like, normally you can guide your thoughts. I couldn't guide anything. Nothing.
You just feel stuck.
And you're like in this circular motion that just doesn't stop, and it goes on, and it's exhausting, and you're fatigued, and you're just like, I'm done, man. Like, I can't do this. And then, here's another crazy thing. So you talk to other people who've been through emotional trauma. It's part of the reason I'm talking about this. We'll get into EMDR here in a sec. Because they're like, yeah, you're going to feel this way for 6 months to a year. And I'm like, I can't do this for 6 months to a year, man. Like,
when you told me that, I was like, oh, man.
And I think that people do, though. I think that people just keep moving forward like that, feeling like that for that long. I think they do. My aunt called me. My mom called, was concerned. I told her a little bit about what had happened. I didn't want to get into a lot of details with my mom because I was just tired of being sad, and every time I replay it, I'm just more sad, but it doesn't resolve anything. A lot of times talking through problems, you can feel better, and you make a plan of action and move on. Didn't matter what I did. Like, I tried working out, and like, I'd wake up in the morning. The worst was the morning. I don't know if that was the worst for you. I'd wake up and you just had this weight on you, and you're just laying in bed, and you're like, I do not want to get up. I don't want to move.
Well, it was different for me because I had all the kids. It was like routine. Kids need food. Kids need to be changed. Like,
yeah.
And like I said, it was just get through it. It was just like, you gotta move, you gotta go.
They need to think you're okay. So
now you didn't have that.
I will say that I would wake up sad. I would dream about it. But it was kind of just like, okay, here we go. Another day.
Yep.
So
I tried working out probably 3 times last week. And as it got hard in the workout, I work out angry.
He does.
And so I got to that point where I started getting angry, and I was like, oh, finally, like, I can feel like me a little bit. And so I'd go hard, but you can't sustain that because it's exhausting. And I would go hard, and then as soon as I stopped, it was like this massive emotional letdown. I was in the middle of the park, like running around where it all happened. And I was doing, I do a circuit, so I did my 67 push-ups, and then I was doing my pull-ups. And normally I just do 12 pull-ups, so I'm going to failure because it feels good to be at that anger stage. And then I did I think 18 or 20. And then when I stopped and I came down, then I was just like sobbing. And I was like, oh man, you mean I can't just stay at that angry place forever? Like, I just want to be there. Like, so that was, I'm trying to think if there's other aspects that people could relate to or they could feel. Just going through the motions doesn't actually, I think it helps maybe long term, but also addressing it didn't really seem to help either.
I think it's like what I always say, it's because some people just can't understand. So it's like you're talking about it, but they're not really understanding.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like you're telling them these emotions and these feelings that you're having, and they're like, yeah, but they really just don't know.
Or people would tell you what you felt. The guys who had PTSD, like severe PTSD, they never tried to tell me how I was feeling. Mm-hmm. Like, none of them did. They were like, yeah, it just sucks, man. Yeah. Like, I called my brother. He's in the Marine Corps. He did serve 3 combat tours. And on his first tour, there's only, out of his entire tour, I think it was him and another guy. His vehicle never got hit. And so he saw a lot of damages, and he had guys who got hurt and stuff. And he's like, yeah, those type of individuals who've kind of been through that never try to tell me how I was feeling, because there is, again, the logical and the emotional, we're not connecting.
You can't explain it.
Yeah, and you can't, and it's like,
there's not words, you literally just felt it.
Yeah. all the time. And it's like, what are you feeling? And you couldn't. It's like, I don't know, man. It's like grief. It's like sorrow. It's like, and you're stuck. But I think that pretty much is. I think that wraps up what I wanted to say and how I felt and what I was going through. Is there anything else you want to add?
I don't think so. I think just it gives you a better perspective of like those that have been at war or those that have experienced something like that it's very different. And just knowing that it takes time. Like I know in my mind, like it's just gonna take time, but when those feelings pop up, it's just like, whoo, it's intense.
It's very intense.
So, just there's ways to help you overcome those things, and you're gonna talk about the EMDR. But I mean, like there's lots and lots of things that you can do to help. So there's like emotional techniques for healing, and this is one of them, and praying and blessings and friends and family and stuff like that. But it wasn't just one thing, I guess is what I'm saying. You're not going to find...
You got to keep looking.
Mm-hmm. You're not going to find one thing, I would say personally, that's just going to be like, oh, this is going to cure everything. It's kind of just like a little Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And then you're going to need a new one.
Yeah.
It's like this wound that just kind of keeps needing to be fixed.
Yeah. Marquise, you talked to me on the phone. Is there anything you feel like I'm leaving out or I should?
Well, no, I just, like the one thing that kept coming to mind, because I've experienced my own version of this, but it's like, it feels like it's almost a loss of innocence.
Yeah.
And so it's like you didn't lose a person necessarily. You didn't actually, get injured or hurt or things like that. But when you have that, or your home was violated,
Yeah.
your safety was violated, your children's innocence, your innocence was violated with something that was your family's thing. And that, I feel like, is the part where the grief comes on so strongly, because it's not something tangible.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally like, it's just an overwhelming loss.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can't ever get that back.
Yeah.
Like, that's never going to come back. It's literally learning a new way of living.
Mm-hmm.
And you're always going to be on guard. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind when they go back over to play. But then you also have that responsibility to not propagate fear. And so it's like, it's that fine line of balancing between protection,
Mm-hmm.
but then also like, because we all do believe in a higher power. I believe in God and protection and things like that. And we talked about how, like, you were just walking with God.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
you didn't have to have this tangible, like, audible voice. It was, you're in communion and you're in connection with God. So he's just guiding. It was just a gentle guiding. Everything was out of the ordinary. But it was because you're following just this gentle guiding. And I think a lot of us get so caught up in what it needs to seem and how it needs to be, and like this orchestrated thing. And it's just life. You're just going through life in this constant state of communion. And your relationship with each other, like even her, just, she trusted you. She trusted that, okay, if you're feeling this, like, she could have just been like, no, what are you doing? We do this all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, let's just go do it.
Yeah.
But like, you are in connection and communion with each other, and you trust each other. And the fact that she was just like, okay, like this, and the kids, okay, like, here we are. And so it's like all of that, you were exactly where you needed to be, but the part that's hard is getting past the violation.
Mm-hmm.
And like, that is when you have to keep doing life in the same vicinity. You have to keep showing up to work. If it happened at work, you have to keep showing up to the house. So it's like a constant reminder. But somebody had made a statement that grief is like a stone or a pebble in your pocket, and you always know it's there. Like, or maybe it's like bigger than that type of thing. You always know it's there. It's always part of like this pain that you feel every time you lean up against something or whatever. It's always cognizant. So the stone doesn't get smaller, but you get stronger. And so as you keep getting stronger, it becomes lighter.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. You're able to
deal
with
tolerate
it
it and work with
differently.
it. Yeah, my dad gave me a good example too during all this, because I called him. I was working on my bench, and I really liked doing mindless things.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was actually therapeutic for me. So working on the bench and sanding it, I had to sand it for like 4 hours. I had to get the epoxy off, so I was sanding it. And then, but I did have a moment where it just built, and I just needed someone. I think I tried calling you. You didn't have your phone on you, which we talked about. You didn't have your phone on you like the entire weekend.
Yeah,
she had her phone on me when she wanted to talk to me.
My daughter was like, "You have like 150 text messages." Mom, I was like, I just don't want to talk to anybody.
Yeah. So I called my dad, and he picked up, and I was like, he's like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "No." I was like, he was like, "You okay?" "No, I'm having a moment, Dad."
Yeah.
And I just need someone by me right now, just for a second. I'll be okay after, but I just need someone. And so Dad's like, "Help me understand what you're feeling." And so I told him some of what we talked about. I was like, it doesn't make sense, but it's this overwhelming feeling, etc. And he goes, what I want to relate it, this is how it makes sense to me, son. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and that's okay, because I'm not in your shoes, and I'm sorry for you. Like, my dad was like, my heart's breaking for you, man. Like I would never want to have to witness my son go through what I'm going through.
Yeah.
Or my daughter, like anyone. In fact, my daughter is going through it, and I'm just like, I'm so sorry. I should have told you to go inside with the other kids. Like, I'm so sorry. But I also think it's important because it's part of life, and she's resilient and she's strong, and I think youth especially can overcome things faster.
Mm-hmm.
And I know she'll be able to help people. So maybe it opens up a pathway for her. I don't know. I really do. I trust God's plan.
Mm-hmm.
And she helped that woman. Anyway, my dad said this, and relating to what you said, Marquise, he goes, I was in a massive car crash about 9 years ago, changed my life, herniated 2 discs, like very, very injured, and I had to relearn how to live again. I used to be like a marathon runner and loved long distance type things.
Triathlons.
I did a lot of triathlons, and I can't run hard anymore. I cannot. I just tried it again like 2 months ago, and I was like tweaked for like a week and a half. I was like walking around correctly. And my dad said, when you were injured, we could identify what was wrong, but we still had to figure out what you could and couldn't do and how to overcome that and how to heal it. And he goes, to me, son, this seems like a mental and emotional injury.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a real injury, and I think there's a way to help it and heal it. We just got to figure out what that is and how to go about doing it. But it's just like your low back's not the same. However, you still have a very fulfilling and happy life. I'm very physical. I can play hockey, which you're like, you can play hockey but you can't do triathlons. Yeah, it's different. It's a different motion. I can't do it. And it took me 8 years to get back into hockey again. Like I tried, I dabbled, and then I couldn't. And
You still can't get hit from behind. Every time somebody does that, I'm like,
Yeah, I did get hit from behind in a game, and I was hurting for like probably a week or two.
Yeah.
But I love it, and I'm like, I know that I'm going into this with that, and I'm prepared, whatever. So my dad was like, I just think your emotional and your soul is injured, and it's harder because it's harder to identify. Like we can identify that it was a joint that was injured in your back, but when it's mental, emotional, it's not as cut and dry as that, and it's harder. And he goes, I think you'll be fine, son. My dad's incredibly supportive of me, and he's like, you're resilient, you're an amazing young man, and you're way more open than other people, and all that is true. But I'm like, yeah, it's just really hard. He goes, yeah, but don't stop. Just keep looking, keep communicating the way you just did, and I think you'll be able to find it. I think you'll be able to get the help that you need and to get the help that we need, really.
Yeah. I was just thinking about it, and I'm like, honestly, I think it's hard for us too, because even though we weren't the ones in that situation, we gave of ourselves in that situation emotionally and physically. And so you pick up other people's emotions.
It's like what an empath is, right?
Yeah. And so we were there emotionally for those people. Like you were saying, you were helping people, you were talking to kids. I was helping women. I was holding that little girl. Eliza was helping. And I think a lot of the things that we're feeling are a lot of those emotions that were there. And we were just trying to be like, come to us. It's okay. Like, we're going to help you.
Yeah.
Carried a lot of it.
Yeah. And so I think that's maybe why it's hard, because it's like we have all these emotions, all these things.
I like that, because the two main things that hurt me, or that where I feel that, is going to be thinking about the dad and thinking about the spouse.
Yep.
And then the kids, probably in that order. Like, and it's like the weird emotional thing that doesn't make sense logically is actually relating to them. Well, my son isn't hurt. I'm lucky. Like, that's the truth.
Yeah.
I'm alive. You're still good. That's the truth. But that's not what they were feeling, and it's almost like So I met up with the dad. They all went down there, and I didn't. And I wanted to go see him, and I think it was Saturday.
Yeah, it was a couple days later.
Or Sunday. It was Sunday. They went down there, and there's a beautiful memorial to Deo, and I went down there. And I was like, hey guys, and they're like, oh, did you know him? And I was like, no, I was here that day. And then the dad was like, oh, yeah, I remember you. And then the sister was like, I remember you too. And so those two, we both, and the dad came and just hugged me and lost it. And then I'd lost it because I was still really not okay. I'm actually doing way better now. I'd say my emotional pain or intensity before was like an 8, 9. Probably a 10 is the worst I ever felt, but I always imagine like there's something worse.
Yeah.
So whenever a person's like a 10, I'm like, no, it's always worse. There can always be worse. So I'll say I was an 8. It's like Brian Regan, I'm an 8 again. I'd say after I did EMDR, I'm a 4, but in that moment with the dad, it was just like,
Yeah.
and I was like, oh my gosh, this is intense. This is kind of yeah. Hey, thanks for being with us, Marquise. Thanks for your thoughts.
Of course.
But that's what it was. I think that I think you're right, where you took some of that on, and anyone, I think if you're exposed to it over and over and over again, eventually it's going to be, it'll be hard.
It's something that Marquise said. I was like, oh my gosh, Eliza totally said that. She goes, it's like my world was flipped upside down. It's like hard being who I am, because kids my age, it looked like my age, maybe a little bit older mom, just took a life. She goes, I'm a hunter and I've taken life, and that like really shakes you. Like it really just makes you like, whoa, I just did that. She goes, they didn't even think about it. It was just like, I'm taking this guy's life and ran. And she goes, it's hard for me because just thinking that kids my age did that makes me feel like, well, does that mean I could do that? Like, would I take somebody's life like that? And I was like, no. She's like, I'm like, no, I know I wouldn't. But my world has totally changed.
Yeah.
I am no longer like innocent mom. So that was hard. I was like, I had no idea. And just realizing like your experience was different from my experience, different from Eliza's experience and Ella's.
Yeah.
So like our younger kids didn't see it, didn't experience it, but they were like, that was scary, because they hear everything that's going on and they see the after effect. But Ella was scared, and she has a knowledge and understanding of what happened, and so she's like emotionally hurting in a different way from us. And Eliza's hurting because she was actually with the spouse.
Yeah.
So, and like the three of us saw his body, but it's like you were the one that was with it most, and I was next to it, but I was with the little girl trying to explain things and to the women. And so it's funny that we were all there experiencing it, but we all experienced it different.
Yeah. It's almost like, it's like the emotional trauma is the same, but the mechanisms were different.
Yeah.
Or the scarring behind it was different. Almost. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's been a hard week, but I am doing better. I feel like you're doing better.
Yeah.
So we got something called EMDR. I want to talk about that for a second. And this was suggested by a patient, and then a friend, and then my cousin. And so I was like, and then my dad.
Yeah.
And my dad had a patient, and she called me, or my dad had me call her, is what happened. And so after like the fourth time, it's kind of like, like it's like God being like, hey, you're asking me for help. Because I kept praying. I was like, God, help me and help my family. I don't know what to do. Like, I don't know what to do. And that's another hard thing as a dad, especially when it happens to your family. It's like, what do you do? Like, you want to protect your family. You want to help them. And I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, if they're feeling anything, what I'm feeling, like, I don't know what to do. What do I do? What do I do? And you don't know what to do. So anyway, like I said, let me talk about EMDR, and then I want to come back to the idea of being guided by the Spirit and what that looks like. So I'm just going to write that down. So EMDR is called eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. This is off Google. It's a psychotherapy technique that involves eye movements to help patients process traumatic memories and other distressing life experiences. The goal of EMDR is to change how memories are stored in the brain, which can help reduce or eliminate problematic symptoms. The way it was described to me from the therapist that I used, and I have not always been a huge fan of therapy. I feel like you can work through and heal from a lot of things on your own, but I will say that this professional help gave me a whole new perspective on therapists.
It resonated with you, clicked.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, if you are in an acute traumatic situation, especially, you should go see a therapist. Like one that does that type of help and work with people. Mm-hmm. So the lady that I saw worked with trauma, and I wouldn't say, she didn't come across, she might listen to this, but I'm just gonna, I'll be honest, she didn't come across as impressive, super knowledgeable until I started working with her. And then after I worked with her and after she helped me, I was like, she knows what she's talking about. And she was good. So EMDR, I did it over the phone, like a Zoom call, and it's bilateral. I'll probably get some feedback and say that I'm wrong, and that's totally fine because I only experienced it once. I just want to share it because it helped. It actually made a physical difference in my life. It's like putting lidocaine on a sunburn. Finally, relief. I had to tap, so she had me look at the camera, and I just tapped back and forth like this, and then she had me go into the experience of when I started feeling the way that I started feeling. And I did it for 30 minutes, it felt like. Mm-hmm. So you do it for a minute, and then you take a deep cleansing breath, and then they're like, how do you feel? And they rate your feelings. So it's like, on a scale of 1 to 10. Yeah. So I was like, I'm like a 7.5, 8. So I would do it, and then she's like, how do you feel? And I was like, I feel the same.
But they're asking you questions, or you're saying things, and then they're like, what is that?
Yeah, you're trying to relive it almost. And
how does that make you feel? What do you see when you think that?
Yeah, so you're going through these emotional, and you're trying to arise the emotions of the situation. You're trying to get that to arise in your heart and soul, your mind and body. You're trying to do that as you work through it. And the idea is that it connects both sides of your brain. I think, and I could be wrong, I think it's trying to connect the logical and the limbic part of your brain. The limbic is your emotional feeling, and your frontal lobe. I think it's trying to connect that as well. And the way that Steph described it to me and the therapist that I saw, was that it's like you're on a train, and then when you have that kind of trauma, it's almost like the train is derailed, where you're getting on and off the train, but it's never going, so you have to just keep reliving that cycle over and over and over.
It's like a groundhog experience.
Yeah. And what EMDR is it helps that train start moving again. Yeah. So you would process it like anything normal that you normally would have. So I've been in some traumatic experiences before, and they've never really bothered me. They'll kind of hang out with you for a day or two, but it's whoa, that was crazy, that was close, almost died. That's happened to me where I've almost died, and I'm like, whoa, that was crazy, I almost died. And that's it, because you're still alive and you're moving on and you're processing through it, right? Yeah. And this was like Groundhog Day. Every day is the same thing, and you just the world stops for you. Again, and when she said that, it resonated because I was like, that's what it feels like every time I look outside of the park. Like, I can't believe people are playing in the park. A guy died right there. It's like, yeah, well, it's been 5 days. It's all cleaned up. Like, these people don't know that. Like, let them get on with life. And I'm like, no, they shouldn't. And that's exactly what it felt like, a Groundhog Day, over and over and over again.
Yeah.
Did you experience, is that what it was like for you?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Even just not even being in Colorado. It was just knowing where you were and reliving that every day.
Yeah. So anyway, she asked me to do this, and I keep tapping, and I keep going through it, and I have a hard time meditating, always have. Praying has been difficult for me in my life. I do it because I know it's good for me, but I don't always feel it. When I'm engaged in doing something, that's when I feel close to God, or that's when I feel like I can do anything, is give me something to read, touch, feel, do. But trying to go into my mind has always been kind of hard. So I'm going through it, and I'm like, she keeps doing it, and I'm like, and she writes down the numbers every time and asks me these questions and goes through this process, and I'm like, okay, it's the same. It's the same.
In your mind, it was a disconnect of like, what is going on? Oh, well, whatever. This is going to do whatever, and I'm just going to get through it. But you don't realize that it was actually helping you at first.
Yeah, and she even said, she goes, look, this is kind of weird, and it's not going to seem like it's going to work, but it'll get you out of the traumatic phase. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it because my dad told me to, and I've had 4 people tell me I should try it, so all right, man. And at this point, I just wanted some kind of relief, so I was like, all right, fine. And so I'm going through it, and I'm like, still an 8. I'm still like a 7.5, I guess. Maybe I'm a little better, I guess. 7.5, 8. I can kind of think a little bit, so I guess I'm maybe a 7 because I'm not getting confused, but I feel the same. But I feel like it's still building and I could cry, so I don't know, 7.5, 8. And I'm doing that, and then she goes, all right, we're going to change it a little bit now. And then she had me tap myself, because it's over the phone. Normally they do it with your eyes. I'm tapping myself side to side. And then she goes through everything that I told her. She didn't try to interpret my emotions, because again, there's a disconnect between my thought process and my emotions. And she went through the logical aspect of everything with me from my perspective of everything that I saw. She interjected a few things, but they were dead on with what I was thinking. And so she did interject a few things, and it was weird because as she went through that, it like arced, and then it was like the train kept going. And then I came down, and I remember when I was done, it makes me emotional because it was so relieving, man. Like the relief is so beautiful, because when I came down off it, like when we're coming to the end of that little thing that she was doing with the tapping and her talking me through it, I was like, I giggled and I laughed, but it was like a real laugh, and I was like, I haven't done that for like 9 days. And I just looked at her and I was like, that worked. I'm like a 3. And she goes, that's pretty good. Do you want to keep going? I was like, I don't know. She goes, that's pretty good for today. You need to do more, but that's good. And I was like, I can like feel, I can think, like, give me an algebra question, quick. Like,
quick, what's 1 + 2?
Yeah. I mean, I joke, but like I couldn't do that before. I couldn't like say a joke. Like I couldn't do anything. So the EMDR, when I was done, I'll just read this so you guys have a better understanding. EMDR therapy is structured and involves 8 phases, though not all phases are included in every session. So there's information gathering and sharing. There's preparation. There's the assessment. There's the desensitization. There's the installation, there's the body scan, the closure, and the re-evaluation. During EMDR, patients briefly focus on traumatic memory while simultaneously experiencing bilateral stimulation, usually eye movements. And that's what I learned. It doesn't have to be eye movements. You just need both sides of the brain engaged. Yep. So I did tapping. The rapid eye movements are thought to facilitate the process of reprogramming the memory with a new positive belief. EMDR is said to have similar effects to rapid eye movement or REM sleep. So I think, like for me, the thought processes that I had logically were already good and already in place, and she just reinforced that and I was able to process through the emotion of the event.
Mhm.
It's kind of, and now I feel sad, but I think this is like a normal sadness for a tragedy and for being involved in the tragedy.
You're not finding yourself like you were last week, where it's like anything can set you off. You're not heavy breathing. You're not
the
overly
heavy
stimulated
breathing,
about things. I'll say, like, when we saw each other, it was emotional, and the fact that we've been away from each other, but also the fact that, like, we did experience that
together.
So I will say the same thing, like, I do feel better, and I experienced the eye movement thing instead of the tapping.
I called my cousin and I was like, hey, I need your help.
Yeah. She's
And-
out in Utah as well.
Yeah, so I was like, I need your help. She's like, yeah, I got it.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need, like, I also felt guilty because I was like, I got relief and my kids, like my kid and my wife don't, like, they need relief. So,
Help. Yeah. No, it was good because I want to say, so our experience was similar, where it's like, what are we doing?
yeah, because it was weird.
But we were in person with ours, and she goes, I just need something I can move that you can look at. So we had this giant ruler, so she would hold it, and you would just, with your eyes, follow the ruler, not your head, just your eyes. And she kind of gave you a prep of, like, you're going to say something, you're going to let me know where you're at, and I will just be like, what does that feel like to you? Or when you think of that, what does that mean? So she would interject things here and there, but she would stop moving the ruler when your eyes would do something. I don't know, but she would know exactly when to stop it, and she would ask you something. So I started at like an 8, and mine was more of like this. Like, I would feel something, think something, and come down, and then all of a sudden it was like a new something, and then come down. So it was like this roller coaster of things that I had felt, and then it was from an 8 to a 3. And when mine happened, she goes, normally you'll just kind of feel like you're good, like you're done. But for me, it was like an almost immediate exhaustion of, like, I'm so tired.
Yeah, because I felt tired too. She actually, it's funny you say that because I did feel tired because I kind of laughed and giggled and I was like, I can't believe I feel good right now. Like,
Yeah.
that's weird. And then I yawned in our session and I was like, I am exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, yeah, normally I tell people to go home and take a nap. I was like, I got to work the afternoon. She goes, well,
Good luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, mine was at night, so I got to go to bed. But it was interesting because I'm sitting in the chair and she's doing it, and I'm coming down to a 3, but it was probably like a 5 or something, and then it hit 3, and my body was just like, and my eyes kind of like went like that, and I sat there, and then I opened my eyes, and she goes, "You're done?" I go, "Yeah, I think I am." And she goes, "What number are you at?" And I said, "I think a 3." She goes, "That's great, but I think we need to do another session."
Yeah.
Like, I'm going home tomorrow.
Yeah.
I want to see my husband. I want to be with them. Like, I will call you. I will do it again. I promise. Because it helped. It really did.
Yeah, it was unbelievable. It was weird, and I was like, I can't believe this is working.
Yeah.
I can't believe that worked. But it did. I mean, it did.
Yeah. And then seeing, my girls were like,
She
you
goes-
need to go first.
It was funny, too, because it was like, my therapist, like, warned me, and she's like, hey, this is kind of weird. And I was like, I'm a chiropractor. I, like, live in the weird. People are always like, is this going to work? Yes, it's going to work. You're like, I know it will work, right? Like, it's the same thing. So, again, that's why I want to do it on the Wellness Quacks, because it doesn't feel like it should work, but I'm telling you, man, like, it helped me. And if you are suffering, this is something that you can do that can help with your traumas.
Yeah.
I'm not a trained professional in this. I don't know exactly how it works. I have some ideas just because I understand the human body, but I don't know. I'm not a therapist. I don't study that aspect of the human body, but if you're suffering, like, it helped.
Yeah.
And we were suffering.
Yeah.
Every day, just stuck in this loop.
For sure.
And now I feel like I can move on.
Yeah. Not feeling like, of course we were crying because we were talking about it, but not feeling that you're just, every minute is going to be like, I'm pretending I'm okay. Everything's
Yeah.
going to be okay. And then all of a sudden you just lose it.
the disassociation of who you are
Yeah.
comes back together. So the other thing I just wanted to touch on was spiritual guidance. Marquise brought it up. And this is how it works for me. I believe in God. I know that God lives, and I know that he honors agency and free will.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that he talks to us through the Spirit. And I hear this from religious people all the time, where they're like, oh, the Spirit just spoke to me and I did this. I don't really have those experiences in my life. We've even had patients who have expressed some of that same struggle, where they're like, it makes sense to me. I believe that the Bible or the scriptures are true. I believe that God has a plan, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they're like good people. And this is how it works. And I think this is how it works more often than not, is that when you are trying to walk with God, he will walk with you.
Mm-hmm.
I never had the thought, you should get this chair out today. I just went and did it. And then it worked with my personality and who I am. Like, why are you doing that, Dylan? I've come too far. Because you're right. And from your perspective, it would have been just as easy, like Marquis said, to say, well, no, let's just go over to the bench.
So in my perspective, it was weird. I was like, why is he doing that? And the thought was, should say we should just go to the park. But for me, it was more of a, just sit with him. It's okay. Just sit with him at the on the chair in the lawn. It's okay. We don't need to go to the park. It's okay.
Yeah. And that's what I mean, walking with God. I don't think that God comes and he's like, you should get the love seat, camp chair out. That's what you should do. I'll protect you if you listen. I've never experienced it that way.
Yeah. Well, and like when you were talking about your car crash, like you just had a thought of, I'm not buckled.
Yeah.
And as soon as you buckled up, that's when the car crash happened.
Right. It was like the same thing. Yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
I was sitting in my car and I go, I'm not buckled. Huh. So I went click, and I mean, it was like click, boom. If I knew the car was going to hit me, I would have freaked out and not being able to buckle up in time.
Yeah.
And I always wear a seatbelt. And, it's like, oh, that's weird. I don't wear a seatbelt. Yeah, let's fix that. Click, boom. Saved my life.
Yep.
So I just wanted to share that. I've never seen God, never seen Jesus. I've never, right? But I have felt him, and I felt his protective hand. And that was one thing that was hard with the disassociation of not being me, because intellectually I've had these experiences in my life, and I did not feel him close to me for that week. And I did not like that separation either. Like, that separation was also very hard.
Yeah.
And that's why I went to the metaphysical. Like, it almost felt like a demon. I don't know if it was.
I was going to say, it's probably because you were feeling those emotions, and speaking religiously, it's like we feel like Satan plays on us. So when you kind of need God most, or you're trying to be close to God, is when Satan kind of attacks.
Yeah.
So I think personally is probably true.
And I think that's a satanic thought, that I don't want to be better.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think that's what God wants for us. I think God wants us to be healthy and whole.
Yeah.
And I think he allows us to go through things like that, like reading in the scriptures, like with Job. Like, he allows you to go through that, and then it tests your integrity, so inside of you, you'll follow God no matter what. But it also makes you stronger to be able to help other people. And that's what I hope. I hope that this helps other people, where it's like, if you want to walk with God again, or you want help,
Mm-hmm.
Even if you don't believe religiously, but you just want help, I think that's a godly thing. I believe that. I believe that just helping people not suffer.
Or just wanting some kind of therapy of like this, if that's something that you need.
Yeah. So it says that EMDR can help with people with anxiety disorders, including OCD, as well as panic attacks and serious stress. And I can attest to all of that it did help me. I'm still sad. I still have those moments, but it's not like it was. That was That was awful. That was a living hell for me. So that's what I have for you guys for today. There's more aspects, but I hope that gives you an understanding of PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what we experienced. That's what I was told. I think so because of...
Yes.
And now I can recognize it earlier in my life with other stressful situations. It just wasn't the magnitude that I felt it. And I also wanted to go over the thought processes, the anger outbursts, the confusion, I need to just leave for a minute. All of those things, I felt like all of those things in different waves and in different ways. The disassociation from my family and from loved ones. I didn't want to burden them. All of that. I hope that that's helpful. I know this has been good for me. If nothing else,
right now, like when we were first starting, I was anxious.
Yeah.
Like I kept rubbing my legs and holding my hands and stuff like that, and I was like, it's gonna be hard talking about this. But it was like we're finishing up. It was like I feel calm.
Yeah.
I don't feel like anxiety or upset or just like I don't want to talk about it. It's more just like
you can talk about it.
Yeah.
Like last week, that wasn't the case. When I did talk about it, I still felt all of those feelings.
Right. You're just like, I don't want to, yeah.
Yeah, but now I feel like I'm back on the train and it's moving again.
Yeah.
And there's an event and we're able to go past it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm starting to understand some of the wounds that are happening and I'm very interested in healing.
Yes.
So some of the other symptoms of PTSD that I experienced, one of them was I had zero desire to eat. Now, I ate, but people were trying to like show me that they loved me and they cared for me, which is nice, and I'm appreciative of that. But it was like, I don't want to eat, man. And every time I ate, my stomach would start churning. And as soon as I felt that, it would take me right back to the event. And it was like that churning of disgust, you know? And as soon as I felt my gastric juices move, I felt that way. I remember I had a hot dog when we went up to the temple. We stopped at Sam's Club real quick because they're like, Brother Clark, have you eaten anything today? And I was like, I had a shake. And they're like, yeah, have you eaten anything? I was like, yeah, I had a protein shake. And they're like, yeah, but have you eaten anything? I was like,
real food, Dr. Clark.
I'm fasting. So as soon as I took a bite of that hot dog, the flavors were so strong and powerful it overwhelmed my senses, and it just immediately started churning. What's interesting is I know like my brother who's a combat vet, and I know other combat vets where they have the opposite, where they find comfort in that food, and so they eat to get comfort from that.
Yeah.
And it did the opposite for me. I had zero comfort from food. In fact, like you saw our fridge when we got home, like it's full because I made meals because it was just something mindless that I could do. But then I would sit down and try and eat it, and I'd take like 2 bites, and I'm like, man, I can't do this. Now, I still ate. I forced myself to have at least one solid meal a day, and I'd have a protein shake, so I had plenty of calories. And that was frustrating because people kept trying to help me, and I appreciate their help in the outreach, but it was not very helpful when I was like, no, it's just sending me down a bender again.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go down that bender, so can I just not eat, man? Can you not make me eat?
Yeah. I want to say for me, it was more, things were just not as flavorful. Like it wasn't enjoyable.
Yeah.
Like, oh, this is going to taste good. It was more just, you got to eat. And for me, it was like, I have to eat.
Yeah.
You know? Our daughter, Eleanor, who didn't actually see everything happen, but she experienced some stuff being in the house with the other kids.
Yeah. When she went inside and she saw things going down, she actually grabbed a knife and put the kids behind her and was like...
Up in the farthest bedroom in the house, she had a knife. She goes, I just wanted to protect us. But for her, it was the same thing. She's like, Mom, I can't eat. And she's a tall girl. She has a high metabolism, and she likes to eat.
Yeah.
So for her, it was like, I just can't eat, and I don't know why, Mom. And so we did another type of like EMDR type relief for her, and after we did it, it helped. She's like, actually, I can eat now, Mom.
Yeah.
And that feels better. And I'm like, good. And then for Eliza, it was like if she got stuff on her hands, it would freak her out.
Yeah.
For me, I think for the first time last night, he made an amazing meal, and it tasted good, but my stomach was so upset. And I was like, why is my stomach upset? But when I was pulling in, I pulled in around where the accident happened, and I think it just hit me, and that was the first time I was like, I don't want to eat. But you were asking me, like, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, my guts are just upset. And I think it was that the realization of, like, I'm back in the situation, I'm back where I was, but it's not the same. Like, I can handle it a little bit better, but it was like that meal for me was like I couldn't eat. Like, I just tried to get as much down as I could because I know I need to eat, but I was done. I was like, I don't want it.
Yeah.
So.
I know. I was like, you don't like my food?
No, it was definitely that. It was just like, I don't know why, but I can't eat.
Yeah. Yes, that's how I was, and I just wanted to touch on that because that's like exactly how I felt all week. It just made my stomach churn, and I was like, I can't do this, man. And I did. I forced myself to, and I wasn't like forced, like, it's just like, you're going to have an emotional moment, and that's okay.
Yeah.
But we got to get some food, yeah.
No. And I hadn't gone down to where it happened. And so I think driving around up by it, like I prepped the girls. I was like, I'm going around it. You're going to see it.
Yeah.
You know? So putting on that face of like, it's going to be okay, you know?
And during the week, what I would do is I would just went over to it.
Yeah.
Whenever I started feeling that way, I was like, we're just going to face it, man. We're going to face our fear, and we're just going to go.
Yeah.
That's what we're going to do. And so I've been over to the little memorial that they've had, and people have put like orange juice over there. And I thought the family was putting those things there, and they're like, no, we didn't put a lot of these things here. And it's like people were like, have a drink with me today.
Yeah.
And so I just go over and face it, man. Like, I don't know if that's its best. Maybe I'll get some comment from a therapist that's like,
what are you doing?
Yeah.
No, I think it was good though, because when I drove around, both the girls, they're like, okay. They shed a few tears, and I was like, are you all right? And they're like, yeah, actually I'm okay.
Yeah.
So for me, I think it was just the thought of like, you know, I've been putting it off, and then finally coming around and seeing it, that it affected me.
And you guys, I just felt like you guys needed to leave, man. I mean, like, kids were playing in the park, and when my children were like, Dad, is there a fight? Like, all right, we can't be doing this every day.
Yeah.
So we probably are going to move. If anybody wants to give us some land near Colorado Springs, I just want the country.
Yeah. No, definitely. It like
We're gonna become country bumpkins.
Marquise was saying is our world was flipped upside down.
Yeah.
We've already kind of been in the process of we want to buy land and stuff like that, but this is definitely like more of a
We're figuring it out.
Yeah.
I will say this too. This is just more of on a practical sense. I've talked to a friend of mine who's a Green Beret, a very good friend of mine. And I called him because I was like, dude, I just need someone to talk to and help me with this. And he's like, I got you, man. So I was talking to him. He goes, couple things. Number one, you are the leader of your family, and your number one priority is to not protect them. So it's really sad what happened to that guy. And I genuinely feel bad for him. That's terrible. But that's no longer your problem. And that's just the truth, man. It can't be your problem anymore.
Just what you said to me is, you're the president,
The
you're
Secret
the Secret Service
to
over the president, and your president is your family.
Yeah. And, you know, the Secret Service doesn't worry about the drug dealer anymore. You know, they just, their job is to take care of the president. And number two, I think this is important for people that he told me. He says the Green Berets are trained that if there's a crowd, someone is going to get hurt. Like, it will happen. When there's a crowd, there's chaos, and no one ever comes out on top. It's never a good thing. So they try to leave or get out of situations when a crowd forms or develops. It's never good. And I told him, I was like, well, that's the scary part, man, because there wasn't a crowd. It was just a fight at first. Like Tadeo got ambushed is what happened. He completely got ambushed by this frenzy that he had no idea was coming at him.
Yep.
And that's why it should have been me, or could have been me, right?
Yeah, would have.
And that's another takeaway that I hope people...
Or it would have been both of you.
Or it would have been both of us.
Yeah.
Absolutely could have been. And that's the other takeaway is if there's a crowd that forms. So I told Drew... Oh, sorry. So I told my friend, I said, yeah, I've thought about that a lot. Like, what could I have done? Because the pistol was ineffective. I'm not afraid to use a pistol, whatever, right? But it was ineffective. I didn't know who the bad guy was, and I've replayed it through my mind 1,000 times, and I wouldn't have even been able to navigate or see the knife and shoot the individual. Like that was not even a good weapon for what was going on. So then I'm like, well, what was a good weapon? Because I did think about grabbing my shotgun when I went inside, and then I would have just plugged a couple rounds in the ground or in the air is what I actually thought about doing when I ran inside. However, the problem was that the reason why I didn't grab my shotgun, because I have a shotgun with a mag and I was ready to just insert and go. The reason why I didn't is because now I go to jail. Like today I would have been saved, but we wouldn't have known that. But I would have gone to jail for discharging a firearm in a public space, which sucks because back in the day, if you just did the right thing and no one got hurt, then it was like, hey, good job for doing the right thing. You helped, right?
Right.
But now, like how litigious our society is, that didn't work. So I was talking to my Green Beret friend, and I was like, so I've thought about that, and I've played through those scenarios, and I think pepper spray would probably be the best. My older brother suggested that too. He's like, the only thing that would have stopped anything was probably pepper spray, man. That would be the only thing that would have stopped it. So I said that to him, and he goes, I don't think you're hearing me. That's not your responsibility. Your responsibility is your family. And if you would have went out there with pepper spray, like, yeah, you may have dispersed a crowd, but it also could have hurt you or your family. When there's a crowd, you need to protect your family. That's number one priority for you in where you're at in life.
Yeah.
And that's a total different change of mindset. But I think it's important, and it's important that people hear that, is that when a crowd forms like that, like an angry mob, the opposing force is never going to win. It's not good.
Yeah. I think you asked me, you said, what would you do in that situation? And you're kind of waiting to see what I would say. And I said, I think I would probably take the kids and run.
Yeah.
And you're like, good. You're like, I don't care what situation I'm in, but you need to take the kids and run.
Yeah.
So,
like if I get sucked into something even against my will, take the kids and run.
yeah.
Don't help me. Like no one's gonna win, man. It's not good. Because I thought about that too. Like, what if you were the sister? Like, she's lucky she wasn't hurt.
Yeah.
Because she was she broke her fingernails.
Yeah, like down to the skin, like they were ripped.
Yeah, because she was trying to throw people off her
Yeah.
brother. She's trying to help the entire time from the beginning of the fight to the end. She's lucky she didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
Very lucky. So just want to leave that thought. I wanted to put that in here. So
Yeah.
that was another aspect of my PTSD. I didn't want to eat. It made things worse.
Yeah.
And just overall lack of joy.
Yes.
All right. Keep it quiet.
Quack, quack, quack.